The CNN exclusive. Insiders reveal for the first time tension and frustration behind the scenes between Vice President Kamala Harris and the White House. The accounts come from nearly 36 current and former Harris aides, administration officials, Democratic operatives, donors, and outside advisors who spoke to CNN about the complex reality inside the White House. On one side, members of Harris's inner circle who believe she's being sidelined and set up to fail instead of being positioned to be a future president. One former high-level Harris aide put it this way, we put this up on screen, they're consistently sending her out there on losing issues in the wrong situations for her skill set. CNN has also learned Harris has told confidants she feels constrained in what she's able to do. The mood, apparently summed up by this satirical headline from The Onion, goes like this, that Harris defenders sometimes pass around when they're feeling annoyed. White House urges Kamala Harris to sit at computer all day in case emails come through. Of course, it's not that bad inside the White House. But on the other side of things, you have West Wing staffers who say they're completely exasperated, throwing up their hands at what they perceive as some of Harris's awkward mistakes, including some cringy answers on Israel and the border crisis. Sources tell CNN there's also the belief that Harris's staff has repeatedly failed her and left her exposed. I'm joined now by the journalist behind all of this reporting, CNN senior reporter Isaac Dovere. Isaac, great stuff as always from you. Let's begin with what's going on with Harris's office. What's with all the finger pointing behind the scenes? As I was describing it to somebody, this is what political reporting was like when we were on Earth One,
right, before
Donald Trump came along. Sometimes this goes on behind the scenes at administration, and so it's not too surprising that it's happening now, but very interesting.
It does, but of course the particular situation here is that Kamala Harris is perceived as someone who is likely to be running for president in the future. Why is she perceived that way? She's run in the past. She's the incumbent vice president. Also, Joe Biden will be 82 years old in 2024. He says he's running for president, for re-election. There's no reason to not take him at his word, but if that doesn't turn out to be the way that things go, she could be running for president in a year.
Right.
This could be, and she could be on the ballot herself, if not as the presidential nominee, as Biden's running mate, again, needing to validate someone who'll be saying to the country, keep me in power till I'm 86 years old. There's a lot of political weight on her for that. And then, of course, there's the historical weight. People who look to her as the first woman in power in this position, the first woman of color in this position. And all of that, what goes into that, and people wanting to see her really succeed and get out.
Yeah, and in this piece, which we should again mention, sourced by dozens of people.
Yeah.
You also reference these Aaron Sorkin-like rumors that Biden could replace her. That sounds very far-fetched, but when the poll numbers get where they are, like they are right now inside the White House, I know this from covering the Obama administration and the Trump administration, people start talking about all sorts of things.
Yeah, and look, as I said, this is it says in the piece, this is an Aaron Sorkin-style rumor that Biden could appoint her to the Supreme Court and then put her on the court and then pick someone else to be his running mate going into re-election in 2024. Is that likely to happen? No, but it's the kind of thing that's going around in circles now because there's such a sense of frantic panic of what's going on with her political prospects. You see a poll that came out last week that had Biden at his lowest numbers yet, but had Kamala Harris 10 points below that. She was at 28%. That means that there is a real problem that she has. And you see, when you get to those sorts of numbers, that means that the base of voters is draining away from her. And that's a problem that she's going to have to deal with. That's a problem that the Biden administration is going to have to deal with if they want things to be better.
And we know Biden wanted to model his relationship with Kamala Harris on his own vice presidency under Barack Obama. Why is Harris, or people around Harris, why do they feel like she's being sidelined in some way?
Well, one of the best examples of the way that this has come through is that Joe Biden was given the assignment to deal with the Northern Triangle diplomacy by Barack Obama. He then gave that to Kamala Harris, thinking, okay, this was the job I had as vice president. It's a serious thing. We'll get you involved in this diplomacy. But one of the differences here is that given how toxic politically the border situation has become, and anything related to it, it's a losing issue politically, it seems like, to almost everybody who's looking at it. And for Harris, it's...
Right, they've given her the least popular issues
right.
in some cases.
And look, there's a big difference between how the Barack Obama West Wing saw Joe Biden as probably never going to run for president versus how Kamala Harris is probably going to run for president again.
And there's also frustration on the Harris team that the West Wing will leap to the defense of other members of the administration, but not her. We can put this up on screen. One former Kamala Harris aide told you it's hard to miss the specific energy that the White House brings to defend a white man, knowing that Kamala Harris has spent almost a year taking a lot of the hits that the West Wing didn't want to take themselves. What is that about? Is that about Pete Buttigieg?
It is about Pete Buttigieg, and it was specifically, if you remember, in September when it became public Buttigieg had taken paternity leave. He was attacked by Fox News, by a lot of right-wing Twitter trolls, and the White House leapt to his defense. Now, why did they leap to his defense? Number one, there's nothing wrong with taking paternity leave. Number two, they are trying to get paternity leave through Congress, so politically it was very helpful for them to have a moment to do that. But it speaks to the sense of this frantic panic that is among the Harris loyalists, where they look at this and they say, "Oh, so you'll back up Pete Buttigieg? What about when we need cover?" And look, there are times where Harris has created a problem for herself, and there are times where she's just been attacked in completely ridiculous ways. Last week when she was in France and she said the plan, like that, or she said the plan, and suddenly it was that she was making a fake French accent, which I don't know.
I personally did not understand that, and I thought it was one of the goofiest things and controversies that we've spoken about.
I took a lot of French classes in my life. That doesn't sound like any French accent, even the bad ones that we had.
Yeah. But it does go to what she is enduring right now in this, in this position where all of the spotlight is on her. Should she decide to run for president? I mean, this is to be expected. Isaac, great reporting as always. Thanks so much. Good talking to you. Join me now to talk about this, Washington bureau chief and White House correspondent for the Grio and CNN political analyst April Ryan, along with USA Today columnist and senior political analyst for CNN, Kirsten Powers. She's also the author of the new book, Saving Grace, Speak Your Truth, Stay Centered, and Learn to Coexist with People Who Drive You Nuts. Did you write this about the White House, Kirsten? I'm sorry, I had to say that. Can I just say, welcome to, there's a little bit of there's a part of me that wants to say welcome to the NFL, and it's not just because my Washington football team just won and beat the Bucks, but what is with, are they just a little too sensitive? And I know I'm going to get in trouble for saying this, are a little too sensitive inside Kamala Harris's team to be concerned about all of this? Or is this to be expected, April, when the poll numbers are where they are and there's a lot of finger pointing that happens? This has happened before. We've seen this before.
This has happened before, but the sensitivity is warranted because, look, you have the Biden-Harris administration that came into this White House with the idea of being transformational. And 10 months in, where's the transformation? You have the Asian hate bill that's passed. You also have Juneteenth, the bill that's passed. Now, 10 months later, you have infrastructure. But President Biden, when he was running as president, talked about transformation, talked about race. And part of the issue, Kamala Harris, like Barack Obama, can never divorce herself from politics and race. That's one thing. Some of this is racial. Let's go there. I said it. That's it. Now let's move on. The optics of it. She does not look as effective as a vice president standing behind him. Joe Biden, when he was vice president of Barack Obama, was standing arm in arm. There is a different relational aspect there.
Different vibe.
Different, very different vibe. Is there a connection? Are there two separate, I guess, wings of the White House, if you will, beyond the East Wing and the West Wing? Is there the vice presidential wing versus the president's wing? Yes, there is. We understand that, when Haiti, the issue of Haiti came out, she made a ruckus about it. Was it taken seriously? She's also talked to people who are activists.
Some of this is real.
Some of this is real. She's also talked to activists who are out there about voting rights. The president doesn't want to deal with the issue of the filibuster right now. And every time I ask a question, you could see the consternation in the room from the press office.
And Kirsten, a former high-level Harris aide told CNN about the White House, we can put this up on screen, they're consistently sending her out there on losing issues in the wrong situations for her skill set. The White House does this. They famously, joked about this on Veep, putting the vice president in charge of things that the president doesn't want to deal with because they're unpopular. And so let's have the vice president do it. Have they done that a little bit here with Kamala Harris? I mean, putting her in charge of the border stuff is not going to enamor her to a whole lot of people in this country, especially a lot of independents and so on.
Well, I mean, Joe Biden has no interest in seeing her fail, Right. I mean, that doesn't really make sense. I have felt that the media has paid a disproportionate amount of attention to the mistakes that she makes than they have to vice presidents in the past.
The silliness about what she was saying.
Yeah,
to France
because the truth is, I can't remember ever talking about vice presidents as much as we talk about her.
Dan Quayle.
And it's like, and I think that, yeah, but I mean, it really is.
No, that's true.
There's an over focus on her that I do think is a result of gender and race, and
Race.
I think that that's what that's about. And so I think she's getting, in that sense, an unfair shake.